that took away their livelihoods. They didn't have no place to sell their grains and
Bardstown,
stuff.
where I'm from, the entire economy is based on bourbon.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. You turn around, there's bourbon there.
I was gone from Bardstown 10 years. And I was back home, and, I never go out home. If I'm home, I like go home. But we went out and about in the city of Bardstown the other day, and I remember when I grew up in this town, the only thing to do was sit in Walmart parking lot and drink Busch Light in the back of a truck. That was it. That was all we had. And now there's like 5 bars there. Like there's these bourbon runs and all that stuff. I was like, it's like a bourbon Gatlinburg down here now.
Welcome to another trip down the Bourbon Road with your hosts, Jim and Mike. So grab a glass of your favorite bourbon and kick back.
We would like to thank Tommy and Gwen Mitchell from Logheads Home Center for supporting this episode of the Bourbon Road. Find out more about their fine rustic furniture at logheadshomecenter.com. Hey everyone, this is Jim, and you are in for a real treat. Our guest today is rising country artist Dustin Collins. He's a Bardstown native who currently lives in Nashville. His song Cold Dead Hands topped the Billboard Hot Singles chart at the #1 spot. His album It's Been Awhile debuted at #1 on the Billboard Heat Seekers chart for South Central US and landed at number 25 on Billboard's country album sales chart. With popular songs like Cold Dead Hands, The Barn, and I Like to Drink, it's no wonder Dustin's music is on fire. But wouldn't you know, Dustin loves his bourbon. So he and Mike sit down at Baxter's 942 here in Louisville, each sharing a bottle, as Dustin hammers out a few hits on his acoustic guitar. You definitely don't want to miss this episode as they chat about bourbon, music, and everything in between. We'd like to thank Baxter's 942 again for hosting us. We hope you really enjoy the show.
Hey, this is Big Chief, and we're down here at Baxter's 942 in Louisville, Kentucky, and we got Dustin Collins with us today. Dustin, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
So you brought us some special stuff today. What'd you bring us?
A little bit Maker's Mark.
Maker's, man. Now, Dustin, where are you from?
I'm from Bardstown, Kentucky.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, other than being from Bardstown, I pick guitars and write songs for a living and live in a van down by the river.
Live in a van down by the river. Hey, that's not a bad way to live, really.
With 4 other guys.
I don't know about all that now. You got a big song out right now. What's that song?
It's called I Like to Drink. Fitting. It's fitting for where we're at right now, I think.
Well, that's fitting for the Bourbon Road, I think. Hoping everybody else thinks so. Well, let's get straight into our pour of this Maker's, and then we'll talk about Maker's a little bit, all right?
All right.
I made sure we didn't mix our glasses up. I gave you a Kentucky glass, and since you're an old Kentucky boy, and I got a Coast Guard glass here.
Well, Kentucky. That struck me as strange too. You're in the Coast Guard in Kentucky.
There's a big river down there called the Ohio River.
Oh well, yeah. I forget y'all do that too. Last time I seen the Coast Guard guys, we were packing up a bunch of helicopters and putting them on a boat in Galveston Bay.
Oh man, military outloads.
Yeah.
So tell us your relationship with Makers.
Well, my grandmother drank Maker's Mark my whole life. And growing up in Bardstown, well, it's a whiskey poor place. They ain't got no whiskey over in Bardstown. But all we could get our hands on mostly was that $7 Evan Williams.
Oh man.
And it was bad. We'd go get them pints, and we was telling you a little bit about KMF earlier, a little bit of that. But we drink we got Evan and 7 Up. It was terrible. it's nothing bad to the fine folks over there at Evan Williams. Y'all do a great job, but Black Label and 7-Up is not the way to go.
It'll dry your mouth right out.
And everything else. But Maker's Mark, man, I got into my dad's Maker's Mark one day when he wasn't home, and I was like, that's good. And, found a way. I like it with everything. If you're going to make a cocktail, you're going to make anything like that, old fashioned, anything out of Maker's, it just goes well with about everything because it's so sweet.
There's no doubt about that. That's that wheated whiskey. I think it's got that little sweet taste to it still. That wheat brings out that sweetness, them caramels and stuff. So how do you drink your Makers?
I just little ice, little tad bit of water in there.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to drink it. I like to drink mine just straight up neat.
I do. I like it that way too.
So you started out in Bardstown, Kentucky. That's where you're from, and that's obviously the bourbon capital of the world. But you play country music. Yeah.
Well, I like to say we play both kinds of music.
Country and Western. I've seen a couple of your interviews.
Yeah, country and Western.
I've said that to a couple of guys that work for me before. I said, hey, we only play two kinds of music in this shop. And they'd be like, what's that? And I'd be like, country and Western.
Country and Western. I think it's from the Blues Brothers when they're in that I don't know if you've ever seen the Blues Brothers movie where they're in the Good Old Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, we only have two kinds of music in here, country and Western. I was like,
that is true. That is from the Blues Brothers. So when did you start playing music?
I've been playing guitar since I was like 9 or 10 years old. So it's coming up. I've been doing it about 20 years.
20 years.
Which for being 31, to be doing anything 20 years is a long time to me.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't really start singing, though, until I was probably 25. Because most everybody was like, stop singing. Not very good at it. And I just kept on and kept on. Because, it's like anything. Singing is you get good if you practice at it, and you just got to find your voice of what you do and try to stick to it. And I've heard from every record producer in Nashville to Kentucky that your accent's too thick, or you talk weird, or something awful, and more recently I heard from somebody that said your songs are a bit too country for country radio.
Oh man!
And then so you try to write some songs that are more contemporary for the contemporary radio, and then sometimes you write those and you just don't end up liking them, and you're like, well, now we're back to square one. You can find a balance between what you like and what you want to play and where your heart is, and then what you're trying to accomplish musically and what you're trying to accomplish in your career. You got to find that happy balance in it, and that's music in general, and trying to have a music career and yet be an artist.
Now that your early stuff, I listened to some your early music and stuff, and was that other people trying to push their hands in your music and stuff?
I not really heavily suggest things.
Yeah.
So I'd write. What I'd do is end up writing a song. We'd be end up in production or whatever with the producer, and then the producer's going to put his spin on it. But if you hear me play those songs like acoustic, those come out. 3 chords and 3 chords and the truth. That's all you got. And then you go in the studio and they start changing the music and kind of directing you towards another way. And we're about to start. I think it's my 3rd full studio album. We're about to start. Just started writing songs for it. We got a new producer. Guy had several big top 40 hits, early 2000s, late 90s. Great dude, Jeff Bates, who did Long Slow Kisses, one of my good buddies, and one of the best writers in country music to this day. Learned from some of the best. And now he's teaching me what he knows, and getting into the studio and working with him. And I told him, in this next record, let's make a hardcore country music album.
So your family did music too, right? They were into music? Yeah,
my dad and my uncle, they did an album in the 90s, and wrote a bunch of songs and were songwriters, and my mom sang in church.
What about your grandma? You said she had some of that whiskey too. What?
Oh yeah, she played guitar too. My grandma died when I was very young. I was probably 10 or 11 when she passed away, and from what I hear, that's who I'm most like.
You still got that? You can remember her singing though and stuff?
Oh yeah, I remember singing and playing and seeing all the pictures and stuff like that. And my mom and everybody says, you're just like your granny.
Huh. That's good that you have those memories still, though. So whenever you started playing, you graduated from high school. What'd you do right after high school?
I joined the military. I was right out of high school. Was in the Army for 4 years, and
well, thanks for your service.
yeah, you too, my man.
Thanks.
And went down to Fort Hood, Texas for a little while. Mech'd on some helicopters.
Man, that's my home territory right there, down there near Fort Hood.
Oh, Colleen.
Well, I'm from a little bitty place called Evant, probably about 60 miles west of Fort Hood, almost Lampasas, Texas.
I know where Lampasas is. There's a creek or a little river or whatever runs right through there.
Lampasas River, yeah.
Yeah, we go down there and go fishing all the time.
Yeah, the Lampasas River is probably where by my parents' old place. It's probably a mile
when
away.
you drive through some of those small Texas towns, and I've been all up through Texas playing music and all that good stuff, but it's like a storybook of what you expect a small Texas town to look like.
Almost like Lukenbach, right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's just some of the. I went up to Amarillo one time. It's a good long drive from Killeen.
Oh yeah,
and that whole drive, you just get to see all of Texas. You get to see because there's so many. It's such a big place and so many different the geography changes as you're driving through it.
It definitely does. I had one person told me that before when I was in the military. He was like, "Texas is just a desert," and I was like, "Well, maybe you need to go to Texas first and see what it's all about before you say that."
Hill country is one of the most beautiful places on earth.
It is. But to us, we're both me and my wife are from Texas, but we live here in Kentucky now. And I tell you what, I think the grass here, the trees, everything's just so green and lush, and we love it. We live out there in Shelbyville, and man, I couldn't love it more.
Shelbyville's nice. I like that whole area out there. And Bardstown, I mean, I'm partial to Bardstown, Bloomfield, New Haven, Nelson County. That whole area is home. And every time I come back, it's just like I'm so happy to be there.
Plus, I got this mighty fine brown water here, right?
Yeah, there's plenty of that. There's plenty of that.
Maybe it's a good limestone and stuff. So you're working on helicopters in the Army. Were you singing in the Army?
I sang in the barracks a little bit, but I was more focused on soldering and doing that whole deal. And basically, I was so young and wasn't even focused on playing guitars.
Was you drinking a little bourbon then?
I might have been.
A little bit of military special?
What? Yeah, what's that?
That's that bottom shelf stuff.
Yeah, old Class 6.
Oh, yeah, old Class 6. You ever drink any 10 High?
No.
That's from Barton's.
We drank Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels. Oh, that's that Tennessee whiskey.
And ever since I got out of the military, I have never drank Jack Daniels to this day. It's like, I don't know. Some people say they like that with tequila. They have a bad day on tequila. They won't touch it no more. Every time I look at a bottle of Jack Daniels, I get creepy crawlies up my neck. It's just like, I don't want no part of that.
Well, let's keep you that way. Let's keep you drinking this good bourbon right here. So you get out of the Army, and then, what do you do then?
Man, I moved straight to Tennessee.
Straight to Tennessee, to Nashville.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I wasn't very good, and was told by a manager buddy of mine, said, "Bub, you need to go home." He said, "This ain't gonna work out for you." So I packed up all my stuff and I came back home.
Wow.
And he told me, he said, "You need to get you a band, work on your singing, work on your playing, work on your writing, get you a fan base, go play in the bars, go do all this stuff." So I did. And it took me another almost 10 years to come back to town. And I'm glad that we gave her a second run and really buckled down and put in the hard work. 'Cause that's what it is. It's all work.
You didn't give up though, right?
No. I started writing my own songs and putting all my work into that. And, it's like I tell some of the younger kids who are coming out and playing is play every single stage you can put yourself on, and every chance you get to sing one of your songs, you sing it to somebody. And, I've learned throughout the years on some of the tours and things we've got to do is always make it about the people that come to see you and the people that are willing to spend their money to help you out, because that's what the fans do. When they buy a record, when they buy a T-shirt, they buy anything, that's directly putting gas in our tank to get us down the road to the next stop. It's paying for a song to get recorded. It's paying for something. And when you put your fans first and you put the people that want to see you succeed first, you will be successful.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. So what was your number one, like, so you come back to Kentucky, you perfect your craft, I would call it, drinking a little bit of this bourbon, maybe that's what helped you out with that success is drinking some of this bourbon here. So what?
There is no doubt in my mind, bourbon has had a profound experience on my life.
I think anybody that drinks it would say that.
Probably about the half of that last record and, at least 3/4 of this new record.
There's nothing wrong with that. So what, so you come back to Kentucky, you perfect your craft, you put in the work, you put in the miles, you're playing little bitty honky tonks here and there. And so what was your first big hit?
We had a song called Cold Dead Hands, which was a Second Amendment song that, kind of ticked a lot of people off. And at first, we had let another boy cut it, and it got major traction, but they didn't have really the outlet to actually push the song out there. And the National Rifle Association had called us and said, hey, we'd love to help you out with the song, but we got to get a good recording of it and get it out there. So we went in the studio and recut this song called Cold Dead Hands. And I mean, it couldn't have come out better. and we ended up uploading it to the sites and stuff, and it's got over 1 million streams in a couple months there. And the NRA started putting us on some of their show dates and let us play big lineups and stuff. We played down there at the World Congress Center, and the headlining act that night was Hank Jr.
Man, that's kind of my wife probably got a big smile on her face. That's kind of cut my teeth in country music was when I was growing up. Hank was big. Old Bo Cephas, he could sing, right?
Yeah, and it was cool. It was like I thought I was gonna get to meet Hank and all this stuff, and I was like, when can I meet Hank? And they were like, no. You can't meet Hank. But we did get pit passes, and we were in the very front row to see Hank that night when he performed, because we performed earlier that day, and we got to play with a lot of cool cats. And we've done that show 3 or 4 times, and every time they have it, I'm still this day firm supporting NRA, and I don't care who knows it, and I'm not going to backtrack like a lot of people would and say that I'm not, because I believe that the Constitution was founded on the Second Amendment.
So you served your country, right?
Yep.
So
and I wrote the song. I'm in every word of it, and a lot of people in Nashville would have me go back and recant what I say just to get a little extra press in the extra magazine here or there.
When you start taking away people's rights and stuff, they'll just keep taking stuff away. They remember, bourbon. It almost killed bourbon when they took away alcohol in the United States, and actually it probably killed a lot of people in Kentucky and took away their livelihood, because that's a lot of Kentucky, not only the people that were making bourbon, but the farmers that were producing that corn and that rye, and that wheat, that took away their livelihoods. They didn't have no place to sell their
Bardstown, where I'm from, the entire economy is based on bourbon.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. You turn around, there's bourbon there.
I was gone from Bardstown 10 years. And I was back home, and I never go out home. If I'm home, I go home. But we went out and about in the city of Bardstown the other day, and I remember when I grew up in this town, the only thing to do was sit in Walmart parking lot and drink Busch Light in the back of a truck. That was it. That was all we had. And now there's like 5 bars there. Like there's these bourbon runs and all that stuff. I was like, it's like a bourbon Gatlinburg down here now.
It is, no doubt about that.
And it's done such good stuff for our community and started to build that up. And I'm proud to be from where I'm from. And, I love all the people down there. And bourbon has done for them what, a lot of places don't get that. Bourbon's a special thing, and it comes from one place.
Yeah. Let's, you want to play that Cold Dead Hands for us?
Yeah, we can do some Cold Dead Hands. There's a rifle in my closet, made in 1893. Carved on the barrel, it says Winchester Company. It's been passed through generations. I've been taught to use it well. Just put food there on the table. It ain't ever been for sale. There's people on my TV telling me what's right from wrong. Now one day I'm gonna mind has ever pulled the trigger on its own. From my cold, dead hands, it's about you and me. Ain't no redneck thing, why don't you understand? You can bitch and moan all you want. You get my gun from my cold, dead hands. There's an amendment to a paper up in Washington, D.C., ratified and voted on by folks like you and me. It's made it through the ages. It guarantees this country free. You can bet your bottom dollar it ain't ending here with me. From my cold, dead hands, it's about you and me. Ain't no redneck thing, why don't you understand? You can bitch and moan all you want. You're getting my gun from my cold, dead hands.
And that's awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, I noticed your old glassers is empty. So we'll take a break. We'll fill that glass back up with something special. We'll talk about that a little bit. What'd you think about that Makers today?
I think about it like the same time I drink it every day. I like it.
Now you taste the caramels in there and that wheat.
Oh yeah, that's man. To me, it's like Makers is out of all the whiskeys. I could be 7 or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 whiskeys in. Somebody gives me a glass of Maker's Mark, I know that's Maker's Mark, and that's what I like about it. It is. It's so distinct from everything else that you drink, and it's just, to me, I mean, it's even the color. Like you can almost look at a glass of Maker's, and that's Maker's Mark.
Oh, no doubt about that. Well, folks, we'll be right back, and maybe we can get Dustin to play us another song.
We would like to thank Tommy and Gwen Mitchell from Logheads Home Center for supporting this episode of the Bourbon Road. Logheads Home Center, nestled in the hills of Kentucky, is an industry leader in building handcrafted rustic furniture. Family owned and operated, they take pride in offering only the very best for their customers. The Logheads, and that's what they like to call themselves, are skilled woodcrafters who are passionate about creating rustic furniture for people who appreciate the beauty of natural wood. Owners Tommy and Gwen don't just sell the rustic lifestyle, they live it. And you can be sure that Logheads furniture will always be handcrafted in Kentucky by artisans who embrace the simple way of life. Logheads rustic furniture is made from northern white cedar, a sustainable wood that's naturally rot and termite resistant. Its beauty and quality will add warmth to your earthy lifestyle for generations to come. Be sure to check out everything they have to offer at logheadshomecenter.com. And while you're at it, give Tommy and Gwen a shout on Facebook or Instagram at Logheads Home Center.
So we're here with with Dustin Collins, and we poured a second pour, and I brought us some Stag Junior. Now, Dustin, you ever had a Stag Junior before?
I have not until
today.
Not till today.
Little hot.
Yeah, it's a little hot.
It's still, I can still taste that caramel, kind of toasted marshmallows in a little bit. Still got that pepper on the back end, like somebody's punching you in the mouth.
I like the aftertaste is really good, and it's really it's good, like peppery and a little hot, but I don't know. I like it. I like it.
Leaves you wanting a little bit more, right?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's kind of hot and it's a little strong, but it's not so bad that you don't want to take another drink.
Yeah. That's the good thing about bourbon. You know, you could let it set for a little bit and take another sip of it. It might taste totally different stuff.
It don't fool with your nose either. Like a lot of that hot bourbon, get up in there. So like if you're drinking Bullet, sometimes I get too hard to pull off Bullet. It'd get up my nose. I'm about half green, but
that's that rye in that whiskey.
Yeah.
So Dustin, you cut your first music. You're working with the NRA and stuff, and you're starting to get a following. And then what happens after that? What do you do?
Man, we released our first actual record through a record label. We partnered up with Colt Ford and Montgomery Gentry's label, Average Joe's Records, out of Nashville. We put Cold Dead Hands, a few other songs I'd written and stuff on a brand new record, which, we weren't expecting the album to be, we expected to do well, but we released it on my birthday, 2018. And on my birthday, I woke up and checked the charts. I think I got up at 9 o'clock in the morning and started checking charts. Nothing. I was beyond disappointed. I was like, man, well, we didn't hit none of the charts. Well, my publicist manager started calling and was like, hey, the secondary charts are rolling out, and they're going to release a country music chart at noon. Turns out we had charted number 1 on the Heat Seeker chart, which is a new artist that have not charted on a main chart before. So we hit number 1 on the Heat Seeker Southeast chart, number 8 on the U.S. chart, and then the country music and independent chart came out, and we were at 25 on the country music chart and 22 on the independent albums chart. And I kind of like melted in the floor after that's where we landed, and we had just got off tour with Aaron Watson probably a couple months before that. So the whole whirlwind of everything that's just happening all at once, and then the music videos were coming out, and I went from a small town kid without a music career, without much of anything, just playing in bars and stuff, to where now we're getting invited to do stuff like this and getting to make the music we actually really, really want to make, and getting some respect from some of the guys in the industry, and getting to write with a lot of the guys that I've dreamed about writing with, and getting to do a record with one of my favorite artists of all time. I get to do a record with Jeff coming up, and I was going to play y'all a song that we've got wrote for this new one here in a little bit, but it's just been a whirlwind of an experience over the last year and a half, and getting to come back and play shows like we're going to play tonight here at Baxter's. We started, this was the first big downtown venue in Louisville we ever got to play. And, it's not a big room, but when you come in here and it's packed to the gills and people are singing your songs that you wrote, it means the world to me to get to come home and play stuff like this. I
bet you probably end up coming back here for the rest of your career just to come pay them respect, I guess, right where you cut your roots at, right?
Man, this has been a big place for us. It's been a big, we opened up for a lot of acts in here. Q1031 over here, the radio station's been great to us. Got to do a lot of their Wednesday night queued up shows. Been talking with them about doing our own queued up show here real soon. Whenever we release I Like to Drink the Radio, and it's been a wild ride, and this room right here has been a pretty fun time for old Dustin, bud.
If this walls could talk, I probably wouldn't want to be sitting on this couch right now.
If they could talk, you'd have to give them a subpoena, because I don't want to hear I don't want to hear none of them. They plead the fifth.
So your song, I Like to Drink, that's kind of was a southern, I guess, summer song, right?
Well, it's a funny story. I have this buddy. We ain't gonna name his name. He knows who he is, and if he hears this, he's gonna know who he is. He likes to drink.
Everybody likes to drink, I think.
Well, and the entire song, got a backslap hug and a listen bub. He's from Eastern Kentucky, so he starts to drink, and he'll get wild, and he'll drink Grey Goose and Sprite until it's gone. And he'll smack that back real hard. What you doing, bub? What you doing? And he'll tell you the same story 14 times.
You sure that song ain't about me? I tell you what.
It quite possibly could be, but the person I'm talking about he's been a real good friend to us in the band. He and I told him I'm gonna write a song about you. He said, "No, you won't do it." He said, "You won't do it." I said, "Yeah." So I sent it to him. He said, "We have got to record this song. It's got to get recorded."
And it turned out to be a number one hit.
Oh, it's not a number one yet. It's done well. I think he got 500,000 views in 2 weeks of putting the music video out there.
That's to me that's number one to me.
It's number one in my heart. I'll tell you right now, it's done real well for us. We're pretty happy with I Like to Drink. It's been a good one.
Well, let's can we hear that?
Yeah, I can do that. I haven't done it very much acoustic. I might like a bush light on a Saturday at noon. Sitting on this boat dock drunk sure ain't hurting you. I might take a trip and never leave the farm. When that big red sun starts sinking low, break out the bottles and guitars. I like to drink and I like to float. Grab a wrap, blow it up tight, and throw out a little rope. I mean, well, I'm just wild as hell, ain't no wheel laws getting broke. I like to drink, and I like to float. Goose and Sprite, get me right, take me 10 feet off the ground. Press and repeat on a childer song until the party comes unwound. A backslap hug and a listen bub might be all you get from me. Wrap up your boats, pull up your floats, 'cause everybody's family. I like to drink and I like to float. Grab a wrap, blow it up tight, and throw out a little rope. I mean, well, I'm just wild as hell, ain't no real laws getting broke. I like to drink, and I like to float. I got them dad bod ass from a 30-pack rack of cold beer in the sun. When a lady swim by and see my George, you know the buoy's come undone. I like to drink, and I like to float. Grab a wrap, blow it up tight, and throw out a little rope. I mean, well, I'm just wild as hell, ain't no wheel laws getting broke. I like to drink, and I like to float.
That's awesome, man. I know you wrote that song about me now.
It's a good one.
So you cut that song. You're starting to make a little bit of money. You still tour, but the hard work doesn't stop, does it?
No, it sure does not. I mean, and I put that behind my team, my PR guys, my management, my label guys. Everybody that goes to work every day for me, I love them to death, and they work their tails off. My band, who you'll meet later this evening, hardest working bands in country music. These boys are day in, day out playing and trying to help us go further.
I see, to me, it sounds like, as long as you put the work in, and, you had somebody tell you before that you're too Southern, you got too Southern draw or too Kentucky or that bad accent. I had somebody
Kentucky's coming around here. Like, we got Sturgill, we got Stapleton, Tyler Childers. There's a lot of good bands out here, and we're gonna do some shout outs here. We got a little Jericho Woods band y'all want to check out. A little Grayson Jenkins, y'all holler at him.
Kentucky's putting out some
got some great music.
Great music right now, yeah.
Great.
You probably listed about 5 bands that right there that we listen to all the time and stuff. And if we get to go see somebody, we feel so privileged just to go see them and stuff. And I always tell somebody, hey man, you should go see this guy before. They're like, how do you find these acts? And I'm like, I just listen. I just listen to good music, and I try to see what's coming out, what's coming up new, and who's coming out.
The thing you got to do is just go to shows, and people are I guess so scared to go out anywhere these days. They won't sit on tail, watch Netflix, or whatever they're doing out there, Googling up stuff. As good as any video that we've ever done sounds, it's not as fun as coming to the show. If you come to the show, you will have a good time. Even if you don't like the music, you're going to have a good time. I will make sure you have a good time, because I will act like some kind of crazy heathen hillbilly, and we're going to have a good time. I don't care. If you come to my show, I guarantee that you're going to have fun. At least laugh. You will at least laugh once.
Now, do you play music for your family and stuff?
Oh yeah, we all we have bonfires still. We get wild.
There's nothing wrong with that. We got that was back down on the farm, right? We got a little bonfire down there and right by the creek, and put some music on and probably a little bit of bourbon flowing, a couple beers. That's a good time with my old dog Woodrow. That's the way to live right there.
That's it, man. I say if you're not doing whatever it is you're doing in life, if you're not doing it for your happiness, it's just never going to work out. Bourbon makes people happy. Music makes people happy. Do those things, because if you spend your whole life waiting, it'll be too late. You wake up, you be gone.
Now you're out on the road and stuff, and you go into different states. Do you ever taste any bourbon from other states, or?
Well, here's where opinions might differ. As far as what I understand, the definition of bourbon whiskey means it has to be made in Nelson County, Kentucky.
Oh, Nelson County. Oh man.
I mean, it's like it's got to be Kentucky or it's not bourbon.
Oh.
At that point, it's bourbon flavored whiskey.
We probably got some doubters out there, but from our listeners, because we got listeners from Australia and Japan and
this
Europe
old man
and stuff.
that grew up next to me, he worked at Jim Beam for years and years and years, and he had a pretty bad lisp. I love him to death. He passed away. He's one of the best people I knew. He had 3 fingers. He worked at Jim Beam for 36 years. And I asked him I said, Tommy, how'd you lose your fingers? He said, a turtle bit them off. I said, what? He said, a turtle bit them off. And it's he goes turtle noodling. He goes and grabs turtles out and he eats them. But he worked at Jim Beam, and he told me, he said, it can't be bourbon if it's not from Kentucky. And a man that got all of his fingers bit off by a turtle tells you that it's not bourbon unless it's from Kentucky. He's got to be right.
We just did an episode with a guy out of Colorado Springs. He's 291 Distillery. And he said, hey, I don't want to make Kentucky bourbon. He said, I make Colorado bourbon. And I said, well, I'm glad. He's like, I don't want to. He's like, you can't recreate what they do here in Kentucky. And I'd almost have to agree with him, man. I'm going to tell you, some of the best juice in the world comes from right here, out of the creeks here, out of the streams here, out of the grain from here in Kentucky. It's a special place. And I think most people, it's like the mecca of the whiskey world. Even Scotch, they reuse those barrels, and that's just used whiskey, used bourbon.
So I like Scotch. I'm a Scotch guy. I didn't get into Scotch until probably the last 2 or 3 years. I got into a little bit of Glenlivets and
must be that bourbon in it.
I like that 18-year Macallan.
Yeah,
it gets a little good. But as far as bourbon whiskey, if you're going the cream of the crop of whiskey, I like Blanton's. Blanton's, that's a good night right there. It's good even pour. And if I'm not drinking Maker's Mark, I'll be on some Blanton's or Woodford or something similar to that.
Anything that's Kentucky.
Anything that's Kentucky. It's just I get down there to Tennessee, they will drink his Jack Daniels. Well, Jack Daniels got this new thing. I don't want none of it. I said, I ain't even trying it, which is really closed-minded of me alcohol-wise, because I ought to sit down and be like, drink the Jack Daniels and then tell them Kentucky stuff's better. and I hope the Tennessee people are listening, because by God, Big Blue Nation all the way, and bourbon whiskey comes from Bardstown.
Well, I always say free whiskey's the best whiskey.
That's the kind I like. And as far as beers go, cold and open will suffice.
Yeah.
Because I like to drink.
So you're fixing to cut a new album. What are you doing for that?
Man, we're going to get as traditional as we can, get back to storytelling and singing songs, 3 chords and the truth about my life, and I'm really wanting to explain my life and growing up in the country and really getting a little more personal in this album than I have in previous projects, and really trying to get it out there. Anything
towards your service?
No, we don't really have anything like that. It's mostly about my divorces.
Oh man, divorces. Well, can we hear something from your new album?
Yeah, this new song is called Heaven Knows. Between a shot glass and revival, Jack Daniels and the Bible, this old bar stool and a prayer, see your face up in the neons, the Lord knows it, all my demons will pull me back and she just won't be there. Heaven knows that I've tried to be the man I need to be. As the story goes, I'll be here right back on my knees, saying, girl, could you forgive me, please? But heaven knows, only heaven knows. Between the good days and the bad, some were happy, some were sad. Some days were ecstasy. Love don't mix with drinking, and drinking don't mix with drugs. It always clouded up my thinking. So heaven knows that I've tried to be the man I need to be. And as the story goes, I'll be here right back on my knees, saying, girl, could you forgive me, please? Heaven knows, I'd like to say I'd lay it down for you, but we both know that probably isn't true. But heaven knows, only heaven knows. Brand new tune there.
So when you're recording those songs, you guys got a bottle in the studio?
Sometimes. Sometimes. Depends on how early in the morning we draw recording time.
I guess if you drink the whole bottle, you're probably not going to get too good of recording out of it, though.
No, and they generally like to keep me off the
juice,
off the Papaw's cough medicine. But there's been times, we in the studio we play with some great guys, Justin Collins and stuff. These guys they are some fire musicians, and basically the way it works is my band will cut some demos, and we'll cut them up the way we want them. Then we go pay the guys that can lay it down better than we can. We pay them to play what we played over top of it.
So
just for time's sake.
How long is it going to take you to record that entire album?
We're still writing. And we're going to be recording. We're starting the first recording of the first song this month. We're taking our time to get this right, though, so we're hoping to have the new record done by spring of next year.
Any Bourbon songs on there?
Oh, yeah, there's a couple.
Oh, so our listeners are going to love that, I think.
Yeah, we got one called She's Got Her Boots On, and I think there's some Bourbon in there.
A little Bourbon in there. Well, where can our listeners find you at on social media?
We're on Facebook / Dustin Collins Music, on Twitter, Dustin Collins 88, and Instagram at Dustin Collins Music Official.
And what about your music? Where can we find your music?
iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, anywhere that music is sold online, you can find it at averagejoesrecords.com. You can find our record. You can get an autographed copy. You can get one with a T-shirt. You can get one with a koozie. They will mail it to your house.
And what about, so I think this episode comes out in about 2 weeks. Where can our listeners go to watch you in concert?
Coming up, our season's coming to an end, but we got a show coming up in New Haven, Kentucky. I got a couple things in Nashville, Bowling Green. You can check out www.dustincollinsmusic.com/tour, and that shows all of our shows where we're going to be. I think we're going to do a Christmas concert here. A lot of my energy is going to go into that. We don't play a whole lot in December, and November's hunting season, so.
Nothing wrong with that. I understand that.
It's like there's 2 weeks that we just kind of take off and disappear. And I turn my phone off and don't listen to nobody trying to get a hold of me.
So you do something special on social media. I notice you about once a week you'll play somebody else's music.
Yeah, I just when we do show announcements, I mean we've got enough videos of our songs out there. We just keep on sharing those. So it's like it's cool to get to play some of your favorite songs on Facebook and stuff that your fans request. So if you want to hear a song, holler at us on there, and whether either I'm on there or our social media ladies on there, and they'll refer it to me. If you go to our inbox, send us a message or send us a comment or a like or something, and say, hey, we'd like to hear you cover this song for your show announcements this week. And when we announce our shows for the weekend, that's kind of a fun way to do it, is do a little cover tune after we tell everybody where we're going to be playing that week.
I love that. I love that artists will get on there and play a couple songs of maybe their favorite artists and stuff, and I'll sit there and listen to it. And sometimes my wife's probably like, "What the heck what are you listening to?" But to me, that's the purity of that's an artist right there, cutting some music and stuff.
They don't get no more raw than y'all don't know if I'm wearing pants or not. That's the craziest part. We're just showing camera from here up.
Yeah.
We're right in the living room.
Just a flannel shirt and some underwear.
Yeah, you got to throw on a shirt and a hat and sing a little bit of Skinner sometimes.
Well, folks, if you're out and about and you get to see Dustin play, you should come out and watch him play. It was just an awesome experience to sit here at Baxter's tonight and listen to him play. Dustin, we appreciate you being on the Bourbon Road, and hopefully we'll have you back one day when you're number one in the charts and getting AMC awards and stuff.
I hope so.
So you can find me at One Big Chief on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at The Bourbon Road. You can go to our website, thebourbonroad.com, and you can find our episodes on almost anything that plays podcast. Go to iTunes and listen to us. Leave us a review if you like us. We'll see you on down the Bourbon Road.
Appreciate all of our listeners, and we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with us here on the Bourbon Road. We hope you enjoyed today's show, and if so, we would appreciate if you'd subscribe and rate us a 5-star with a review on iTunes. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Bourbon Road. That way you'll be kept in the loop on all the Bourbon Road happenings. You can also visit our website at thebourbonroad.com to read our blog, listen to the show, or reach out to us directly. We always welcome comments or suggestions, and if you have an idea for a particular guest or topic, be sure to let us know. And again, thanks for hanging out with us.